Hello everybody, this is another Hot Wheels collector video. Today we are looking at the 20 Toyota Supra GR from the 2022 Hot Wheels mainline. This was found in the P and Q case, and this car was actually first cast in 2021, and obviously this is a very welcome addition to the mainline, and I'm happy to see this car returning, as otherwise I would not have this in my collection right now. As for the facts about this car has a BMW sourced 3-litre turbocharged inline-6 engine, and is the same engine that is used in the BMW Z4. This engine, on the top spec model of this, there were two specs I believe of engine, is capable of 382 horsepower and 368 pound-feet of torque. This car also has a 0 to 60 time in just 4.3 seconds, pretty impressive, and also has a pretty decent top speed of 155 mph. This car also has a starting price, at least here in the UK, of £49,000. I know that this car was very desirable when it first came out and was selling crazily fast, and you could not get your hands on one for the life of you. Now they're a little bit more readily available, and I think people do like this, but it is a split. I would say it's a 50-50 split on whether you like it or you dislike it. Some people argue it's more of a BMW because it shares lots of BMW components and is not a proper tribute to the Supras before it, so that being the Mark IV in particular, because I feel like that's the one that people really look at when we're talking about Supra. That's the one you'd think of probably first if I say the word Supra. But I think this is a really nice car, to be entirely honest. It's a very nice modern take on the Supra. I know where the criticisms are coming from. It isn't really resembling much of the previous Supras, but obviously it's kind of having to satisfy nowadays modern market for cars, and sport cars at that. But anyways, let's get into the actual showcase of this Hot Wheels model. Okay, so starting off with the side profile of this car, we'll start off the wheels. They are black 10-spoke wheels, and I think this matches really great with the black base plastic, which is used to create the side skirts, front splitter and rear diffuser section of this car. It also acts as a very nice colour break, very nice. And obviously that match, I do like a match on a car, I do like matchy bits, and that is great, keeping that colour scheme going. Speaking of colour, let's talk about the actual colour of the car. It is just a glossy red, not metallic, and you can see the actual tempo work on this car is all about G-ready. As you can see, speaking of tempos, here is kind of the design. Most of them are like triangles. It's kind of like broken up shapes. It is meant to be that way. They are not meant to run all the way to the rear fender, like arch. So there you go. And it's meant to be broken up. I know maybe a few people might be wondering, is that what it's meant to look like, especially if you don't have it in your collection? Yes, that is what it's meant to look like. It is not meant to continue all the way to the actual arch where the wheel sits. You can also see obviously that G-Ready logo being done in black, and finally the Hot Wheels logo, which has been done in black too. Moving on to the front of this car, you can see the aggressive profiling of the wide body arches, very nice there, and we do have quite a nice generous amount of tampo work here. There's no tampos on the front bumper, but it is nicely cast. You can see all the grille and vents are casted, and they are actually cut out in the metal, very nice. And I've already mentioned this, but the splitter is all created using the black base plastic. As for the tampos, we do have the Toyota badge, as well as the two headlights, which are realistically done. On the hood of the car there is no tampo work, but it is slightly textured to resemble the real life car more. Unfortunately, this car does not have any wing mirrors, which is unfortunate and is a big miss in this casting in my opinion. Most new castings that are coming out in the recent years have been including wing mirrors, but unfortunately this one just did not get that treatment. I believe this car does have windshield wipers though, so that does make up a little bit for those wing mirrors, but I always say this saying, and I heard it from another diecast channel, it's very much like cutting the ears off a human. It just doesn't look right, and cutting the wing mirrors off a car just also does not look right. Something just looks a bit off. Now moving on to the actual side of this car, it's the same as the previous. I'm not going to bore you on that, but you can have a look at that and pause the video if you want to look at something specific. Very nicely casted, obviously the door handle actually done as well in the actual metal casting. Now to the rear section of the car, there is no tampo, but the rear lights as well as the license plate holder have been cut out, so you can add your own details for the rear lights using acrylic paint or Sharpies. And for that license plate you can use like a sticker. That's what lots of people seem to use. I've already mentioned this, but the rear diffuser as well as exhaust are created using the black base plastic, and this car has a metal spoiler which is very well cast in my opinion. You can have a little look at that from the side profile, a little bit more in detail there. It is very accurate to the real life model. Love to see that. And finally, there is the top view of the car. There is no tampo work meant to be on this one, but obviously mine has a little tiny speck of white tampo. That must have just accidentally got there in the factory. I don't know how that managed to end up on there, but there you go, it has. But no, there's not meant to be any tampo on the roof there. But it is very nicely cast, and it does look great, I think. But anyways, that is it for this car. Let's get into my actual final review and thoughts on this one. Alright, so now it is time for my final thoughts and review of this car. I think the casting is absolutely awesome, and this particular recolour of it is great. I love the red colour. This was in the Then and Now series, so it came paired up with this older Supra, the Mark IV. I'm not super fond of that casting. I think it's quite old looking, and I do think it needs a retool. And it's obviously not a stock one, it's heavily modified. And I think this is the better casting out of the two, but it is the newer casting as well. But I think it's really accurately done, and I'm really happy with this recolor. I love the G-Ready kind of livery design on this, and everything's just done as it should be. It really did please me when I opened this, and I was happily hunting this one down for a little while. I was over the moon when I found it, opened it up, and it just looks great out the package. I think it looks better out the pack than in the pack. That's just my opinion, though I know a lot of carded collectors will be raging at their screens right now that I've just said that, but that is just my opinion. Obviously you can collect how you want. I have made a video on how I think you should collect and how I would recommend it if you're struggling on whether you think you should do loose or carded. Make sure to check that one out if you haven't already, or if you need some advice. But anyways, what am I going to give this car out of 10? I'm going to give this car a really, really solid 9 out of 10. Very nice casting, and I really do like this car in real life. I think it gets a lot of hate just because of that BMW engine and components, but when you look past that, it is a really, really good car. And we do have to cut a little bit of slack here and there, because this is just perfectly done, and it would cost Toyota too much to invest into creating a specific engine just for this car. So I'm happy that we at least got the revival of the Supra, and we should all appreciate that at the least. But anyways, that is it for this video. If you enjoy, make sure to like. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Remember, you can also press that notification bell so you do not miss a new upload. Remember, you can also share this video with any friends, family, or in any groups who may be interested. But remember, don't feel pressure to if you don't feel like you have anybody who may be interested. You watching this video all the way to the end means so much to me, and I really do thank you for making it all the way to this point. Anyways, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye bye, everyone.